Hello lovelies, this is my first video on my project Tea Time, and I am so glad you are here with me today. That must mean we share some common interests. Welcome home. My idea for this project is to make videos discussing different topics, serial killers, the tech world, world events, while doing something relaxing or just something I enjoy. Today, I'll be setting up a server, but on other days, you might see me deep cleaning my home, making dinner, showcasing some cute animals, or trying out software. With the help of my new favorite tool, ChatGPT, I've refined a script I felt was soothing to the ears and won't bore you. Let me know what calms your eyes and ears and what you'd like to see more of in my new Discord server. The link will always be in the description. Alright, let's get into our first story. I'll be talking about Pedro Rodrigues Filho, one of the most infamous serial killers in Brazil. His story is different from most because he didn't kill for the same reasons as others. He wasn't after power, money, or random victims. Pedro killed criminals, people he thought deserved to die. Born in 1954, his life was marked by violence before he was even born. His mother was severely beaten while pregnant, which left Pedro with a deformed skull at birth. His father was abusive, and violence was a normal part of his home life. At just 14 years old, Pedro committed his first murder. His father, who worked as a security guard at a school, was fired after being accused of stealing food from the cafeteria. Pedro believed the accusation was false and decided to take matters into his own hands. He tracked down the man who had accused his father, a local official, and shot him in front of City Hall. To him, it was justice, but he didn't stop there. Pedro wanted to find the real thief. After asking around, he located the actual person who had stolen the food and killed him too. From that point on, killing became a way of life for him. After going into hiding, Pedro found protection with a gang in São Paulo, where he met Maria Olympia, the woman he would later call the love of his life. She wasn't just a random person. She had ties to crime, and some sources suggest she was involved in drug trafficking. Others say she simply knew the right people to keep Pedro hidden. During this time, his reputation as someone who didn't hesitate to kill was growing, but Maria seemed to accept that part of him. For a while, life was good. He had money, power, and someone he cared about. Then, everything fell apart. Maria was murdered by rival gang members, though the exact details of her murder remain unclear. That moment changed Pedro forever. He wasn't just a killer anymore. He became a man on a personal mission for revenge. He tracked down those responsible, killing them one by one, but not quickly. Pedro made them suffer. He was known for torturing his victims before finishing them off, using knives or machetes to mutilate them, cutting off fingers, ears, and even tongues. Some reports claim he forced at least one gang member to eat parts of his own body before executing him. At some point, Pedro's reputation caught the attention of organized crime groups. He went after an entire cartel that had stolen from his grandfather, killing multiple members and even forcing one to eat his own ears before killing him. His rage didn't stop with Maria's killers. Even after his revenge mission was complete, he continued hunting down criminals whenever he came across them. He robbed and executed drug dealers, claiming he was cleaning up the streets. He assassinated corrupt police officers, believing they were no better than the criminals they were supposed to stop. He would even show up at parties, ask around for known criminals, and kill them on spot. At one point, he stormed into a wedding just to eliminate a target. Pedro was so fearless that once he invaded an entire cartel compound and killed 4 people at once, leaving no survivors. Eventually, the police caught him in 1973 when he was just 19 years old. By then, he had already committed at least 47 murders. Prison didn't stop him. It became his new hunting ground. He killed over 40 inmates while serving his time. His first kill inside was immediate. He was placed in a cell with a known rapist, and within hours, Pedro stabbed him to death. When asked why, he simply said, "I don't like rapists." His most infamous moment in prison was what became known as the massacre in the transport van. He was locked in a van with 15 other criminals being transferred. By the time the guards opened the doors, Pedro had killed all but 2 of them. Their bodies were scattered across the van, stabbed, strangled, or beaten to death. One of his most disturbing kills was his own father. While in prison, Pedro found out that his father had murdered his mother with a machete. By chance, they were sent to the same prison. Pedro stabbed him 22 times, cut out his heart, and took a bite out of it. Another strange killing was when he murdered a cellmate simply because the man snored too loudly. When asked about it, he said he had no regrets. He later justified his prison murders by saying, "Prison is full of bad people, so I kept doing what I do." By the time he was done, Pedro had racked up over 100 confirmed kills. But despite everything, Brazil's laws didn't allow anyone to serve more than 30 years, so he was released in 2007. Once out of prison, Pedro did something nobody expected. He became a YouTuber. He started a channel where he talked about his past crimes, his thoughts on morality, and even gave advice on staying out of trouble. He told young people not to follow his path and claimed he had changed. I'll link some of the videos I find in the description. Some of his content was unsettling. He laughed while recounting his murders and showed no real remorse. He even discussed who he would kill today if he could, often pointing at corrupt politicians and criminals still active in Brazil. He gained a following. Some were fascinated by his life, while others saw him as a hero. But Pedro still had enemies. No matter how much he claimed to be reformed, there were plenty of people who never forgot what he did. On March 5th, 2023, Pedro was shot and killed outside his home by two men on motorcycles. He was 68 years old. Some believe it was revenge, maybe family members or one of his victims finally got their payback. Others think it was a gang hit or that someone simply wanted him gone. Here's what Pedro looked like when he was young and a bit before he was murdered. Quite a story indeed, and much respect to the family he's left behind. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you again regularly. Much love!